Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. I'm really pleased to see you come out. You will notice in the advertisement that we said that this evening was open to the public. Now, I think I should send an important message. Most PLP meetings are PLP meetings for members of the PLP family. But the issue of the Catastrophe Fund is of such importance that we felt that we had to go beyond the borders of the Barbados Labour Party family and embrace all Barbadians to discuss this issue. You see, a catastrophe does not pick and choose who it strikes. Catastrophes don't know color, class, or creed. Catastrophes are not just limited to the constituency of St. Joseph or constituency in St. Michael and St. Thomas. And this issue, therefore, is one that we feel is of greater significance than just a mere Barbados Labour Party message or mere Barbados Labour Party platform. And there are some of you who have accepted our invitation to come. I'm not going to call anyone by name. You know who you are. I have seen you here. I know that you wear a different political stripe than I do. But it takes a brave person to come to this audience and listen to the message with a clear understanding that what we are about is first and foremost educating Barbadians and then pointing a way to a solution. So I love all of you, those who are on our side and those who are on the other side. Now, there are times when, as political parties, you let things slip. Sometimes you let things slip because maybe you weren't paying close enough attention. Sometimes you let things slip because they are not of national significance. I remember we had the debate in Parliament recently, 2 years ago, where we changed the word druggist to pharmacist. Well, we're not going to have any political meetings about that because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect anybody's lives. But this is one piece of legislation that we could not accept. And I believe I should begin by pointing out that it is a piece of legislation that was rushed through Parliament. On the last day that Parliament sat before going on recess, a bill to amend the Catastrophe Fund Act of Barbados was laid. And it was debated in all of its stages on the same issue. It reminds me of when we debated the bill to change the rule of the Supreme Court of Judicial Act appointing Chief Justice at 1 o'clock in the morning. There was almost a decent case with which this legislation came to Parliament. And there's that old saying, hurry bird, don't build a nest. And it's a popular St. saying. But many people do things in a hurry. You are forced to stop and ask, how come? How come? What is so vital about this bill is only 3 clauses. These are the Catastrophe Fund Act. And in any other circumstance, we may not have paid as close attention to it as we did. But I'm very thankful that we had the foresight to look carefully at it. Now, this is not going to be one of those fire and brimstone political speeches because this I feel we need to educate Barbadians as to what this is all about. In 2007, Clyde gave some history. We passed a bill in Parliament called the Catastrophe Fund Act. And Clyde has pointed out that we we have a large percentage of shackled houses in Barbados that are not insured or are not capable of being insured. And we've had the experience of having had bad weather, tropical storms and hurricanes. And then we had fire too, that's right. And the individuals who are most affected, because they do not have insurance, they have to look to the government for rescue. But part of the challenge with that is that by its very nature, government has difficulty responding quickly. We know this. It's not a BLE or a BLE thing. The nature of government and the nature of the financial rules and the amount of documentation so that you have to apply, government has difficulty moving quickly after a catastrophe. And that was our experience. And we therefore felt that we should put up a new regime. Instead of having government trying to scramble around and look for funding in the aftermath of a hurricane or fire, or in our case in St. Joseph's Village, we felt it was important, while things were good, to put aside a sum of money administered by the NAS that can be drawn on by all Barbadians. That fund, government of the Act was to put in $2.5 million per year for 5 years. And every single person in Barbados who is paying national insurance will also make a contribution of 0.1% to the fund. So understand that when we talk about this fund, it is a fund that your dollars helping to create. So understand that to begin with. All right, this is a fund that your dollars helping to create, and as such, you must have an interest in how money that you're putting up to serve the people who most need help when they need it. You have a stake in saying what and how it is being done. So let's begin with that. You have a stake in this because your money helps to raise the fund. Now, this fund was so important to us that we passed the bill in March of 2008. And immediately we realized that we needed to go back and make a few changes. And the very next month, that tells you how important it was to us. Like, we didn't delay it. We didn't say we could wait another time. We went back the very next month. And in April of 2007, we increased the value of the shop house from $125,000 to $150,000. And the ceiling for earnings was at first $22,500 a year, and we increased it to $25,000 a year in an effort to capture as many Barbadians, as many low-income Barbadians as possible. Now, it is important for me to tell you that we define catastrophe in the Act as being a catastrophe caused by a fire, an earthquake, a storm, a hurricane, flooding, a storm or sea surge. And for those of you who are from the West Coast of Barbados, you know that that is a cause of concern. Lightning is included, and any other catastrophe caused by the forces of nature. And that part is St. Joseph Park. Because this allows houses in Suriname and Chimborazo and Parks Road and Bashima and Fruitful Hill and Small, wherever a shackled house can be destroyed by slippage. This particular clause is how we in St. Joseph or St. Andrew or St. Peter, even St. John, can be protected. Now, we didn't just set the fund and leave it there. We said that the fund will be managed by the National Insurance Scheme, and that the National Insurance Scheme will have a committee who had the responsibility to disperse these funds to individuals. Now, you wonder why I'm going through all this, because it is important. It is important for you to understand how it was set up, how it was intended The monies that are to be given to individuals under the Catastrophe Fund Act are not loans, they're grants. So we put a system in place where you could get a grant of up to $150,000 to rebuild your home, and you do not have to look back over your shoulder to see who you have to pay back. It is a grant. It is money that when once you get it, you are expected to apply it for the purpose. But the point is, in your darkest hour, you do not need to be scrambling around to see if you can borrow a few dollars from somewhere.
Come from you.
It is made up of your money, and it goes back to you. Thank you very much. Essentially. But it is precisely because it is a grant that the National Insurance Scheme has to follow very carefully the rules relating to how it is handed out. If it is money you have to pay back, then you can be flexible, because it is a gift to you. It is important that the criteria be met. Now, I've already told you the criteria. The house must be worth no more than $150,000, and the owner of the house, who must be living in it, must be earning no more than $25,000 a year. And for those of you who will be asking, well, what if the house is parked with a wall, we take that into account as well. And we said that even though you can have some wall, as long as no more than 25% of the house is wall, we will treat it as a shadow house. So those individuals who have added on a little something here and there over the years, your house would be covered as well. Now, understand, please, the rationale behind it. And the experience of Thomas demonstrates why this fund was so important. We are informed that 700 plus houses were damaged during Thomas. 700. Tropical storm Thomas struck on October 30th, 2010. In another month or so, we would be at its second anniversary. It is a crying shame that almost 2 years after the tropical storm Thomas struck and caused such devastation in Barbados, that over 300 houses have not yet been fixed. Have not yet been fixed. And I'm not going to call names, but one or two of our constituents in St. Joseph, I sent a special invitation to come this evening, and one or two of them are here. Because I do not know how I could look individuals in the face after 2 years, knowing that as I walk through Manchester on Saturday, a house has deteriorated and is worse now than Thomas left. And that house is still not being touched. The reason this fund was so important, therefore, is to be able to allow the house owner in the immediate aftermath of the catastrophe to get up and help himself. And we all understand that that is how Barbadians live. We've all done it. We've all experienced that. Anybody who ever grew up in a shadow house knows that it wasn't all built at once. We built a piece. You had one piece, perhaps the whole family sleep in a room. Everybody put the shoulder to the wheel. The community come out and help things, a little cement or help put the house. That is our experience. And you know, after the storm, as I said to the Attorney General, Attorney General, why are you all making people wait on RDC and UDC to get in? We have set up this fund. Let the people come to the fund, draw on the resources of the fund, and stand up repairing their house themselves. If Barbadians had been given the opportunity to benefit from this fund, I would bet anything that today all 700 of those houses would benefit. Sure. Every single one. Because we have learned over the years to rely rely on our own efforts and on our own strengths. But for some bizarre reason, it suited the government to adopt the approach of doling out largesse. And you see ministers on the back of trucks in the aftermath of Hurricane Thomas and daggers, conveying the impression that they are doing and that they are doing and that they are doing. But today, 300 houses plus are still undone. So that's the rationale behind us setting up this fund. Now, it is important as well for me to tell you that the government of Barbados is a member of something called the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. And within weeks of this tropical storm, we got a check. The Barbados government got a check for $17 million. 17, 17 million dollars to help with hurricane, to help with the relief effort. $17 million. I believe we got the amount on the 6th or 7th of November. Weeks later, we were able to get $17 million from the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. So RDC and UDC were the beneficiaries of that $17 million. But do you know that the government spent in all $37 million on relief effort after Hurricane Thomas? $37 million is the amount that the government spent. But I have houses in St. Joseph that today have not yet been fixed. I'm not going to ask the question where the money gone. I'm not thinking of that tonight. The point I want to make is that the Urban Development Commission was given, I believe, the figures they got. I don't want to confuse you with the numbers, okay? We got $17 million from the Catastrophe Fund, but the government's total bill was about $37 million. Now, some of that was spent by RDC, some was spent by UDC, some was spent by National Housing, some was spent by the National Insurance Board, but the two agencies that spent most money were the rural and urban. My research tells me that rural spent about $6 or $7 million in relief effort, including doing houses, and that's urban, and that RDC, Rural Development Commission, spent $16 million. Okay? Now, let's fast forward. In August, we went to Parliament and hurriedly pushed through, the government hurriedly pushed through the amendments to the act. Now, what is the central feature of this amendment? The central feature of this amendment is that any government agency that spends money in a catastrophe to repair people's houses are entitled to get it. Now, I don't think, if I was a party does not believe in that. A government agency, when we had problems on, I don't know which one it was, Lily, or enough of it, the parliament was supplementary and put money in government agencies, and that was that. The government agencies went about doing what they had to do. The government agencies then sit down and start crying, say that they want back a refund. A refund of what? They didn't borrow the money from anywhere. Your taxpayers' dollars was given to RDC and UDC to fix people's houses. There's no refund to get. But if we go down this road next thing, public works, they want a refund for fixing a road. Or water authority, they want a refund for fixing a pipe. Government, well, you know the people who want refunds, they don't want tax refunds. And their tax refunds ain't coming yet. But RDC and UDC are in a refund line to get a wash fund of money out of this catastrophe fund. Now you need to understand how wrong that is on several fronts. The first one is this. It is a shame that those agencies that are set up to help people should first be trying to help themselves before those people who are still waiting for assistance have got money. Government and Parliament, and they said, we are going to give RDC and UDC back the money they spent. But they did not say a single word about giving Salty from Brantberry or from Calgary or from Paxora, anybody, a penny to fix their house that is leaving. Okay? They talk about giving back RDC and UDC money, but they have not said a word about using the fund to help those 300 people whose houses are still exposed to the elements. Now, since when has government in Barbados started to operate like a crab in the barrel, trying to climb over the backs of its citizens? How can we say sorry people and allow UDC and RDC to climb over the backs of the people who were intended to benefit from this fund and get money when those people go away? Understand clearly that in March of 2011, UDC and RDC got money in yesterday. If they wanted to refund, that was it. In 2012, just gone, March is gone, they got another set of money. So they got $70 million on one and UDC got 6. Then they got money in yesterday's for 2 years. How is it possible that 2 whole years later you could be saying that you want a refund of what? But worse still, it is a refund that they're asking for, and that Christina said, I intend to give them, without saying a single word. For those very words, we are going to give back RDC and UDC the money this time, without a single word about the individuals who are still waiting for government assistance. They said, and some people actually, some people wrote the fund and said, we want help. And the reason the government said we didn't help them is because there were no regulations. Now, no disrespect to people who sell small phones, but I don't sell small phones for a living. I do law for a living. And when I look at that, the act says that the minister may make regulations. So if he may not. Okay? So it doesn't say he has to make regulations, he may or he may not. And this act is so clear that they don't know what regulations you could go on. As long as your house is a shabby house, it is not worth more than $50,000, you don't earn more than $25,000 a year, and your house was damaged in a catastrophe, you're entitled to ask for and to receive the grant. There are no regulations to write. No regulations to write. But that was their excuse. That was their excuse. So today now, we don't know if the regulations will be written. But a little birdie has told us that RDC already got a piece of change from this fund. I cannot vote for it, but I am informed that RDC has already got money from the fund. I want to say that I sincerely hope that that is accurate, because it would be to the eternal damnation not just of RDC, but of the Minister of Finance and of this entire administration if they can be so brazen as to give RDC or UBC money, when taxpaying Barbadians who need it, the fix their houses have not yet received a penny. The Barbadian Civic Party worked hard on this legislation. We watch people wait and wait to get assistance in times past. And we understand and understood then in 2007 that it was a system that could not work. And this fund has now been built. The fund now has $36 million. This current hurricane season is not yet finished. And even when this hurricane season finished, there is a house in Suriname that every time you get a little rain, it slips an inch further down in the country. And I would like to be able to go and tell my constituents that if the worst happens, he would be able to draw on this money. If the worst happens. That is a story for a different day, because let me just digress. So when I asked, how come I didn't go here? Well, I said, like the last 6 or 7 letters, I carried in and showed the house. And after showing the house, I ended up by the Nikki for breakfast back. And I'm feeling, it's very wrong. I carried in and his entire team to the Nikki for breakfast and fed them. It was a waste of breakfast. Because the very house that they carried in to show him was living 150 yards from the gun. And still actually hasn't done anything yet. And the house next to it is the one that is slipping inch by inch by inch. So I should be able to tell either of those gentlemen that this money is here that they can draw on. But I can't tell them. Because it is apparent to us that the government has one focus now. And I really don't care who agrees or don't agree or who like it or don't like it. It is apparent to us in trenches. It is apparent that Clyde needs to explain why they're doing this. What they're trying to do is to put money in the UDC and RDC hands to try to help them win an election. Now, if that is your motive, he might have to come to Parliament and say, I am giving RDC or UDC a supplementary. But that's what we would have done if we were in government. Because we are not ashamed of our programs. We would have said, we are giving you a supplementary, spend this money.
There you got it.
And the process is a process in Parliament, so you get to debate it. You get to debate it. Can you imagine now that for the first time in the history of the UDC, and Mr. Albert is built a second point in Motu, but for the first time in the history of the UDC or RDC, Mr. Albert, those agencies are going to be getting money to spend that were not subject to parliamentary oversight. This is 2012. We should be going up and forward, not slipping back into some dark, dirty political gutter. Because that is all that it is. Every time the UBC or RDC gets money, certainly when we were in government, and over the last few years, you came to Parliament and you debated it. And I had a chance to list the RDC because they weren't doing anything in my constituency, and then the minister had a chance to defend RDC and say why they weren't doing what they wanted to do. That's how parliamentary are oversight. But for the first time in our history, these agencies are getting money to spend that were not subject to parliamentary oversight. Now I want you to understand how fundamentally wrong that is. That makes a mockery of the business of parliament. And if the country's affairs are going to be run that way, then we might as well forget about the notion of responsible government. But that is to digress a bit. Our position on this amendment. We don't believe that any agency should be trying to get back money for work that they did. It is a government agency spending taxpayers' money. You do the work and you move on. You should be doing work and leaving more work to do. That's what you should be doing. They should be asking the Prime Minister of Finance for a supplementary so that they can fix their houses. They shouldn't be trying to get this money. But even if, and we are man enough to admit that, at a certain level, it might be useful. We're man enough to admit that because in the aftermath of a catastrophe, any number of things that can happen. Sometimes the family is so shattered that they may not be able to compose themselves and get what they want to do. So in some circumstances, it might be appropriate for RDC or UDC to step in and fill the bridge, on the understanding that these individuals will themselves apply for the money, and that then once they apply, RDC or UDC to get it. Oh, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It could be appropriate for a government agency to step in and lend a hand on an emergency basis, because that's what you're talking about, you're in an emergency. Step in, assist the individual on the understanding that they would be applying to the fund, and when the money comes, it will go straight back. We do not have a difficulty with something like that happening in the future. Because I think you would agree that that could be a useful thing to happen. And so we are prepared to live with the amendment so that it can be applied in those circumstances. But the notion of paying back this refund in the past for monies already spent is one that we definitely do not support. The second part is the party position on the issue is this. Now that you have amended the act and done whatever you want to do with the regulations, we demand that the first call on the fund be for those individuals whose houses are still left exposed. It is common sense. If you're saying that the fund wasn't quite ready to be used for whatever reason, know that it's ready to be used. Let RDC and UDC get to the back of the line. They must get to the back of the line and allow those poor individuals who are now in greater peril than ever to come forward.
No, they are.
Now, understand this. And you know this government is actually, by their conduct, made a bad situation for us. In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane of Tropical Storm Thomas, a house that needed a roof above ground might have cost $15,000, $20,000, or $30,000. 2 years ago, that house, the roof on, and the rain falling every day, and the sun shining every day, they get it burning, the sides begin to walk. Understand that 2 years later, what you might have been able to achieve by giving somebody $30,000 to put back on your roof, that individual now needs a totally new house. A new house. So that makes it more imperative that that individual be the first to stand in line. Now, I hope that we don't have to fight with the government over this, because there are some people who want to use technicalities that is convenient. It is the Barbados Democratic view that even though that individual's house may take more to fix now, but if they get, they should get the money.
Yes.
It is not going to be satisfactory for this administration to say, well, sir, you only lost a roof, so we can give you roof money. Because it is the lackadaisical approach of this administration that made what was a bad situation worse. And And therefore, if a house now takes the full 150, they should get it. You agree?
Yeah.
I would not notice that this administration that is in such a hurry to build this fund, to clear its coffers, to spend election money. I have not noticed them saying to anybody, I want to give you a hand. I want to give you a hand. Anybody in Congress, when we had a great World Cup, the Ministry of Finance worked with the Ministry of Tourism to help people to build better brands. Whether the project was entirely successful or not is the principle they want to focus on. We asked the BTA to go out there and hold the hands of those people who wanted to build breakfast. Again, we asked the BTA and the other agencies to go there and hold the hand of those individuals who wanted to build breakfast so that they could benefit from it. We made it very public. It was all over the place. I have not heard anybody in this administration say that they're going to go there and hold the hand of those 300 people whose houses are shackled. Haven't heard them say anything. So our call this evening in this town hall meeting is this: that the government should immediately do an audit of all 300 of those houses and should hold the hand of those individuals. They have a lot of consultants, and let me remind me that Patrick got consultancy and consultancy, Hammy got consultancy too, and David is got consultancy. There are so many consultants that I believe they can spare one or two of them and actually make them do the work for cheap. And get some of those consultants to go out there and do an audit of those 300 houses and establish what assistance they need. If they need to get estimates, and they will. Put the resources in place to help them get estimates and hold those individuals' hands. You know, so perhaps we have a different view of cash reports. And I probably shouldn't even say cash reports. But I believe that if this were us and staff, that you would say to us, do not let us win an election unless those 300 people had felt the soft and gentle touch of our government. It's common sense. It's common sense. So we are calling for the government to go and do an audit of those 300 houses, plus houses, that have not yet been fixed. We believe it should be easy because, if nothing else, our DC and CRO should already have the information. Everybody was jumping forward when we tell them to break down names and get names and all kind of stuff. You wonder what the names they can do. So the information should be there. And instead of saying to those people, come, somebody should go to those people and say, look, come let me sit down. Let me see what we need so that you can get assistance. That is what this administration should do. But we are also asking the government, we are calling them to say to us specifically how much money it is intended to seek by way of refund for RDC and the UBC.
Say a word.
We do not know. The minister in his government speech said, we are going to give them back the money they spent. That's what he said. But up to now, we do not know what money has been spent.
He said 40 to 60 million.
But that's such a big thing. But equally, understand this, and that's why it's important that we understand. That's why we include what the criteria is. Because the act, as they amended it, says that they are entitled to a refund where the individual whose house they built or built back would himself or herself have been entitled. So in other words, before our HWC can claim a refund, it must first be established to the satisfaction of the National Insurance Board that the individual in whose name they are claiming the refund meets the criteria. And the National Insurance Board, in our view, is obligated to go through everything that they would have gone through if one of you all had applied in the case of the UBC and in fact, our RDC, and in fact, they should look more. They should look in greater depth, because those agencies will not be coming forward one-one, they'll be coming forward and asking for a block refund. So the committee that is established under the Act must go through every single individual and identify every case before a penny can be paid to the UBC or RDC or anybody else. Because those agencies must be subject to the same scrutiny as Inez or Patsy or Kenneth or Thomas when they go forward to the fund to seek assistance. Now, I'm going to wrap up because we want interaction, we want questions. But there's a crisis of confidence in this country. And I fear that there's a crisis that is not of its own making. It is being brought on by the cavalier way in which government is conducting its business. They came to Parliament and they said, we intend to refund RDC or UBC X million dollars or $1 million. The minister did not say that they were going to refund these agencies for monies previously spent. He didn't say it. It is only at the end in his wrap-up, when it came under district attack, that he then said, we are going to give them back the money that we already spent. And up to now, we do not know what that money is. There's a crisis of confidence in this country because we are at the point where nobody knows what the government's sincere intentions are. And part of this crisis is one that is experienced not just as between us and them, but it is a crisis that exists even among us. Clyde told you about the mistakes that the Minister of Finance is making. Mistakes like that even the most junior financial analyst would not make. And I want to tell you that his cabinet colleagues have revolted against him. They're revolted against him. And you know, there's always a point in these meetings that you expect there is something saucy. Let me tell you that his cabinet colleagues, Priscilla's cabinet colleagues, have revolted against him. I want to read a letter under the hand of a gentleman whose name I am still afraid to call. A man from St. Philip. A minister who is a medical practitioner by profession. Dr. the Honorable David C.S. Minister of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries, Industry, and Water Resources. Anybody who wants this letter will love to get it, but it will be on Facebook within the hour, right, babe? Within the hour. Dr. Gerald Davis, when God will revolt, wrote on September 8, 2011, a gentleman who was at the time in charge of the Barbados Water Authority, a gentleman named Mr. Andy Walters. And letter reads, and one goes slowly. Dear Sir, with immediate effort, now listen to David, let's say waiting Andy Walters. Dear Sir, with immediate effort, I am instructing that no member of the management or staff of the Barbados Water Authority is to attend any project review committee meetings convened by the current Minister of Finance, the Honourable Christopher Singh. Dear sir, with immediate effect, I am instructing that no member, not one, no member of the management or staff from the top department of the Barbados Water Authority is to attend any project review committee meeting convened by the current Minister of Finance, the Honourable Christopher Singh. You are permitted to do so if such meetings are called by the Prime Minister of this country. This directive will remain in force until such time as you are advised otherwise by the Minister of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resource Management. Please be guided accordingly. Your usual cooperation is anticipated. Yours sincerely, David C. S. That is a revolt from within. And if they can start it, then we should finish. Thank you very much.